with foreclosure sales being halted, so many like real estate agents, title people, they're all going to be out of work. They're not going to be able to afford to feed their families. Any suggestions on what can and may be done in order to speed up the process of getting these title problems worked out so that these homes can be bought and sold again?
This is a critical. Let
me just say one thing. One of the things that I, as a member of Congress, want to do is to stop the foreclosure. I want people. That's the most single investment minorities and people have in this country is their homes, and we want to turn it around as opposed to kick people out of their homes. I, as a member of Congress, that's what I want to do. So we are doing all we can. HUD have a program. We've been working with financial services. The key is to make sure that we stop these foreclosures. You want to add to that?
Can you address the other side of the street though? Because thousands and thousands of real estate agents, title brokers. I mean, all these people are going to be out of work unless we.
Let me.
But the key for me is to keep people in their homes, and I want to generate business, but not by people losing their homes.
So, I think it's very important that we focus on the place where the problems are. If we have lenders or law firms or others where there's clear evidence that there is a problem in the foreclosure process, those institutions need to stop the process, review it, and fix it as quickly as possible. And we are doing everything we can through our enforcement actions at FHA, which is part of HUD, through the Justice Department, our partners at Treasury, to make sure that we can all have confidence in these processes. Where there is not evidence of a problem, and you've seen some call for every single lender to stop every foreclosure in the country, we are not for doing that. We believe where there is a problem, we need to fix it, focus on fixing it as quickly as possible. But what we should not be doing, as the Congresswoman said, the key here is to help people who can stay in their homes, stay in their homes. And that means not just focusing on the affidavit issue, but to focus as early as possible in the process to intervene, help people stay in their homes. That's why just a few weeks ago, thanks to the work we did with the Financial Services Committee in Congress, we dedicated another $1 billion to help homeowners that are unemployed stay in their homes. That's why we are refinancing through FHA, what we call our short refi program, underwater borrowers to help them get back above water. We need to focus on those kind of proactive solutions farther upstream when people are still in their homes. Before we get to the very end of the foreclosure process, we need to focus on keeping them in their homes. The last thing I would say is that one of the issues that Florida has faced because of the concentration of foreclosures is that a foreclosure doesn't just hurt the family that lives in that home, it hurts their neighbors too. The average home next to a foreclosure loses $5,000 when there's a foreclosure next door. So what we need to do is help those neighborhoods as well. We've invested through the Recovery Act and other work we've done with Congress over $1 billion in Florida through the Neighborhood Stabilization Program to help buy up these foreclosed homes, renovate them, and return them as quickly as possible to productive use. That's a key example of where we need, where somebody can't stay in their home, we need to get that home, renovate it, return it to productive use as quickly as possible. And that's why we want to make sure that we resolve these issues, these questions about the foreclosure process as quickly as possible so that jurisdictions like Orlando and the mayor that have been doing a great job on this issue can make sure that they're buying as many homes, fixing them up, returning them to productive use as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Thanks. I think one thing that we've learned in the past 2 years is that if you are hell-bent to throw people out of their homes, you benefit no one. No one at all. The average home loses $40,000 in its value simply because of foreclosure. And the average neighborhood loses $250,000 in value of the surrounding properties, as the Secretary just pointed out, because of foreclosures. And the result of that is that entire neighborhoods end up being decimated. Now, what I did almost from the moment that I was sworn in was to try to get everybody to step back, pay attention, and see if the problems could be worked out. And because the chief judge here in Orange County instituted the Grayson mandatory mediation program, foreclosures in Orange County have dropped by half. They've gone from $3,000 a month down to $1,500 a month because the judge, per our request, instituted a 45-day timeout with mandatory mediation paid for by the banks. and said to the banks, you have to sit down with the borrowers and try to work things out. Because these days, the banks aren't even the ones who end up doing the foreclosure. It's these foreclosure processing companies who are paid per the foreclosure. So they have an incentive not to answer the phone when you call them. We've had any number of people, hundreds, thousands of people tell us, I can afford to make these payments, the bank won't even take my calls. So what we've done on many occasions through the foreclosure program, the mandatory mediation program, is we've brought the banks and the borrowers together and they've worked things out. And the result of that is that not only have foreclosures dropped in Orange County by 50% since the Grayson mandatory mediation program went into effect, but the program is so successful that it's been adopted statewide. So we shouldn't be rushing to throw people out of their homes. What we should be doing is striving for ways to keep people in their homes as long as they can afford them.
Let me just add one other thing. When I voted for the bailout to help the banks, it was not just for the banks. As opposed to lending, many of the banks start calling the notes. That is not the intent. I want people as much as possible to get the relief that we gave to the banking community. I want people to be able to stay in their homes, period.